Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Acres. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about sharpening the saw blade. So there's not a whole lot on YouTube that I've seen about sharpening. I wanted to go into a little bit more depth on it and more about swedging because there's very little on swedging. And if you're running just regular steel teeth, not the chrome, not the carbide, and you want to get maximum usage out of your teeth, you're going to have to swedge them because the tooth is tapered, and as you file it back, it gets narrower and narrower and narrower. You want to maintain the width of the tooth, that way you have clearance for your saw plate, and that happens through swedging. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this. Follow along. Thanks. All right, guys, here's a couple of the things that I use when I'm sharpening and swedging. The first thing I always do is I put a pair of gloves on, because if you slip, the blade's sharp, you're going to cut yourself, your hand, your wrist, something. And then I use either the Atlas hand filer or a Dexter file guide. Now the differences between the two are the file guide uses just a flat file. So if I wear the file out, I can go to the hardware store and get another one. The hand filer, it uses a segmented file wheel. It's like sections of flat file glued onto a disc. And if that wheel, when you wear that out, you have to order that. I get these from stalls, but you can get them probably from anybody that sells sawmill supplies. I think that the Atlas hand filer, I think that that is probably a little bit faster, but I think that the file guide gets a little bit sharper of an edge. And then after I sharpen, I swedge every other sharpening. So last time that I sharpened this saw, I did not swedge it. So this time when I sharpen it, I will swedge it. And the swedge has two sides. You have a beveled side up here. See the radius in the jaws? And then a square side. The bevel side moves the metal and flares it out, and the straight side squares the tooth back up. Now, you don't hit these really hard, just a few light blows. Sharpen the tooth first. It's easier to move the metal if it's sharp. If it's too blunt, you have to hit it too hard to move it. So you sharpen it, and you always oil this. Now when you're setting these file guides, the file guide or the Atlas hand filer, you always set it to a new tooth. So this is a new tooth. See if it'll focus in here. All right, so you put a new tooth in. You want a 35-degree hook angle on the front of that tooth. So that's why I put a new tooth in, and then you take it out and put the old one back in after it's set up. Here's an angle. I don't use this, but that is an angle guide. So that opening is 35 degrees. Then after you swedge it, then you have to sharpen it again to knock any burrs off. And then finally, after that, after swedging, I use this tool here. This is a side file, and I'll show you that here in a little bit how it works. But that's how you make sure all your teeth are the same width. And that gives you clean lumber, and you don't have that big nasty scoring in the log. All right, guys, the first thing I'm going to do when I saw is I'm going to take a piece of chalk or a crayon or a Sharpie, and I'm going to make a mark so I know where I started. And I'll mark the other side too so I can see it from both sides. All right. Now, if I was setting these up new to a new saw, then I'm going to roll this tooth out. All right. And whenever you put your tooth in, you always put a drop of oil on it. All right, this one's already oiled. Roll that back in. Make sure the tooth is seated against the shoulder of the saw plate. All right, now you have to seat your shank. Take your wrench, hold it in the gullet, couple taps. Now sometimes when you seat it, it'll pop that tooth back up out. But that looks good, it didn't move it. You take a look at it, make sure it's not proud to one side. It is a little. Tap it with the swedge. Put the swedge on one side, kind of like a heel dolly, and you tap it with a hammer. So with this Dexter file guide, it hooks on 2 teeth in front of where you're sharpening. All right, now this is already set up, but what you would do, you would loosen this bail and adjust this till you get close, and then this thumb wheel, you fine tune it with that, raise that up and down to get your angle correct. So you put it in and you take a couple strokes. Make sure that you're cutting the entire face of the tooth, which you are, because this is already set up for this saw. And then you lock everything in place. And it's good. Every tooth will be the same. Now, it's the same process with the Atlas hand filer. Okay. You loosen this set screw. All right. And that's the same thing. You set it to the tooth. Tighten this down. Now, this here, I'll show you how you adjust the angle. You have to loosen that center bolt, and it's on a kind of like a cam. So when you turn it, it moves it forward and backwards. But the same thing, set that up on the new tooth. You tighten this up. And this holds a little pressure on it, and you give it a couple cranks. Not too many, because it takes off a lot of material, and teeth are expensive. Now, like I said, this is the fastest. And I think this Dexter file, I think this gets the sharpest tooth. And, you know, like I had said before, you can pick a file up at any hardware store. So, let's do, we'll move up one tooth here. Okay. All right, that tooth is sharp, it's square, and both of these have adjustment on them. You can, these set screws, you can run them in and out, and that's how you square the file with the plate. So you're not sharpening one corner higher than the other. And the Atlas file has the same thing. All right, guys, here's a swedge. This is Atkins #1. All right, I don't even know if Atkins is still in business. This is an old swedge I got somewhere. It's brand new. It still has like, I don't know, like a varnish coating on it of some sort. But you can see the jaws. The top set of jaws, they're beveled. That's what's going to move the metal. That pushes the metal out. And the bottom set are square. That's how you square the face of the tooth back up. And it's good to always put a drop of oil inside your swedge or on the tooth itself. You want to make sure this stays lubricated. It helps to move the metal, And if anything would break off, like a little burr, a little whisker on the tooth, it helps to keep it from getting stuck down in the corner. If you get it stuck in the corner and you can't get it out, the swedge is junk. Every time you go to use it, you know, you're not going to get a square face. It's going to always have that dimple in it. So you take your swedge. You want to keep it straight with the saw plate. All right. You don't want to roll it up too much. You don't want to roll it down. You kind of rock it back and forth until you find the neutral. If it's too high, you're going to tip the tooth up. If it's too low, you're going to tip the tooth down. I don't use a big hammer. I use a small hammer. This is the one that stays in my toolbox with all my sawmill tools. You know, you find that neutral spot, give it a couple taps, look at it, all right? Now you move it over a little to get the other side. Push that corner out and then work the other side. All right, so you start in the center, then you do the left side, then the right side. Now, take a look at the tooth. I have that tooth flared out. Now I want to square the face of it back up. So I use the square jaw, couple light taps, tooth is square. Now, you got to file again. All right. Now the tooth is pretty much sharp, but you got a few burrs on it. I mean, you just beat on it with a swedge. So you take the file, give it a couple of strokes. Check it. It's razor sharp. It's square. All right. You can double check it with your angle guide. And it is good. All right, now when you swedge it, you're pushing the corners out on the tooth. Now you don't want to get that ugly scoring in the lumber. And what that's from is you don't have your teeth aren't all lined up. So a couple ways that you could do it are with this side file. The side file has these set screws that ride on the saw plate, you know, and that's how you knock the corner off. And you do each tooth, and they all come out the same. You could use a spider gauge, which is basically the same thing as this without the file. It just has a little pointer on it. And if it hits the tooth, you know, you have to knock the corner off. Some people just take a file and lay it across 3 teeth. And if it rocks, then they knock the corner down. Then on to the next one. But like I said, with the swedging, there's not a whole lot out there. It's not really that hard. It takes a little bit of getting used to. The biggest thing is you don't want to roll the tooth down. If you roll it up, you can knock the top off. But if you roll it down, you have to sharpen the tooth back to get to the flat surface, you know. And then you just go on to the next one. Find that neutral spot. Couple light taps. Move it over. Move it over. Looks good. Square it up. And you just do each one. It's not too time consuming, but it is time consuming because attention to detail is what's going to get good results. You want to make sure that everything's right. You want nice lumber. You don't want lumber with the big saw marks in it. You know, I don't know, like if you see lumber that's all scarred up, somebody either hasn't side dressed their saw, or they have a bent shoulder, or the tooth isn't set straight. You know, that's why it's important when you roll the teeth in, you look at it, you know, if it's proud to one side, put your swedge on it, tap it with a hammer. You know, also you got to make sure that after you put new teeth in, you got to make sure that you have these shanks seated. They have to be all the way down. Make sure that the tooth is seated back against the saw plate, and that when you not when you seat this shank back down, you know, like I said before, sometimes when you knock this down, it'll pop the tooth back up a little. But like I said, I hope this helped you out. If you liked it, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.